Alright, hello guys, welcome to the new edition of this particular YouTube channel, Mr. Ade Ayobet. Alright, so in this particular video, I'm going to show you guys the best way to make use of Sportybet app. Actually, currently, basketball games are ending their leagues, and most of them are only playing playoffs, and which is why you need to watch out for the kind of games that you guys will be betting on. Alright, so in this particular ticket, I've been trying to observe some, factors in basketball games of recent regarding to predicting straight winning and over points, and I'm going to show you guys how to avoid some games and how to recognize or identify games that are good to stake on. Alright, so for this particular period, it may be very hard for you to get games to stake on, but at least depending on how you approach this particular process. So I'm going to show you guys the kind of games that you should always avoid when it comes to basketball, especially the period that we are now. Let us look at this particular German BBL league games. First thing that I always do when using Sportybet is that if I'm using my Sportybet to do analysis, if I'm not using SofaScore, Sportybet alone, I used to check the stats, and by checking the stats, that's where you are going to know if this particular game is based on round or playoffs. In the playoffs, the teams that you want to predict your games on might have been playing like 4 games consecutively against each other, and these kind of games are games that you should avoid because you won't have a straight prediction on who to win the game. Sometimes the home team will win, the away team will win, the home team will, sometimes they can play 4 times consecutively against each other, and they won't have maybe a particular dominant team winning straight. So this kind of game are games that you should always avoid. And how do you recognize a playoff games? So if you click on the stats, check the upper part of this particular place, you are going to see they are going to notify that BBL playoffs, quarterfinals, and probably they might have played the first leg, maybe the away team has won and they are trying to play the second leg. For example, in the last previous games of these particular teams, you can see that the home team is currently in they are not really in form. They have 40% of form, the away team 100% of form. But the last game that they played, they actually played against this particular current opponent, which happens to be Bayern Munich, and they won. The away team won by 18 plus gap. And if we are to go to their head-to-head, you can see that the away team happens to be the dominant team to win this particular game. But one thing that I want you guys to notice is that this particular match can actually end up home team winning this particular game, and that is why you need to watch out for playoff games. Alright, so now let us move on to the main tips of this particular process of using Sportybet to predict your games. Now, alright, so let us check this particular game. Okay, this is the round, I think this is round 29 of this particular Turkish Super League. Now, if you want to predict your straight winning using Sportybet app, unless they manipulate the data, the only thing that if you don't want to make use of this particular Sportybet app, maybe probably you are afraid of data manipulation, you can actually apply the average point method of the individual teams that you want to bet on. Alright, so we have the home team having 20% form, away team having 60% form, and if you check very well, it is not like the previous ones that we just checked, that they are playing consecutively against each other, maybe first leg, second leg, and with that you want to know who to win, who to actually win your game. So that is the cause of the previous ticket I showed you guys that are lost in that particular slip. Now let us check their head-to-head. The away team happens to be the dominant team, and also in the last 5 games the away team has been performing so well. But the most important part to look into is to check their average goal, average point scored, and average point conceded. See, if you make use of this particular process, just after watching this particular video, just go and try it. Just go and try it. Just practice. Check their average point scored and average point conceded. At least there must be a 10-point gap in it. Let me show you. This is the average point scored, and the upper part here happens to be okay. Yes, this is average point scored, and the down part is average point conceded. For the home team, the average point scored is 86, and average point conceded is 86.2. Now for the away team, average point scored is 90.2, and the average point conceded is 79.6. And subtracting 79 from 90, surely we are getting probably maybe 11 points or 10 points. In short, we are getting our 10 points. Now this particular game, another thing that you guys need to look into is that the odd, but I don't care about the odd now. Now we have 1.50 odd for the away team to win this particular game. This is actually a perfect game to go for in basketball, unless the game decided to turn the other way around. But this particular game should end up as a away team to win this particular game. And if you guys notice very well, most of the games that they are playing now, they are playoffs, because most of the basketball leagues are ending. Let us check this particular France league too. All these tournaments, playoff, guys, just try to make sure that you are avoiding them. So if you check some other major leagues too, you will notice that most of them are playing playoffs, and most of these particular playoffs you can't fully decide who to win, because they always have first leg and second leg, and the kind of energy and commitment that they put into this particular tournament playoff is not matching at all. Because if you go and observe most of the last previous games, some teams that are expected to even win with a big gap, they are losing. Now this is another playoff match that you need to avoid, even though they say the home team has 100% form, away team 20% form, and the home team has always been the dominant team. Even though not up to 10, but at least there's a lot of gap in it. But all games like this, playoffs, avoid it. Now another step that you can actually make use of this particular Sporty bet app is their head-to-head new in the process of predicting over points. So if you want to make use of this particular app for basketball over point prediction, what I do mostly is that I use the head-to-head new, which shows the average points scored. Alright, so we have their head-to-head team average points scored. Now this particular aspect is what I always look into. For example, in this particular segment, we have both teams average points, total points as 158.4, but we have the league average total point as 164.3. What I always make sure is that the two teams average total point is must be higher than the league average point. So in this particular situation, I always try to avoid this kind of a game, because I always want the teams that I want to predict my games on to make sure I always try to make sure that the average point is more higher than the league average point. And also these particular two teams must actually be in form. And another thing that you also need to consider is that their average points scored and average points conceded should not be too far from each other. For example, we have 77 here and we have 75 here. There we don't have too much gap in this particular aspect. We have 81, 77. At least the gap is not too much. But let's assume that the average point of this particular two teams is actually higher than the league average point. Then I will go for the game as over point. And what I do is that maybe probably if I want to play safe, I'll just subtract 10 points from the league average point, and we have 154, then I go for over 154 because the league average point is 164.3 and these two teams average point is 158.4. I did mean that they are having probably maybe 169, 168. I'll just subtract 10 from the league average point and I will have 154. That is if I want to play safe. But if I just want to go like that, play it like that as 164, let's say if we have 154, that means maybe probably want to play safe on this particular game. Let's see if we have 154. In fact, we have 138.5, but something is fishy about it, about this particular odd allocation. This is the odd for 154, but actually this particular game doesn't meet the the this particular match does not actually meet the process of predicting my over point. So I can't advise you guys to go for 154 for it because first, the average point by this particular two teams is lower than the league average point. Yeah, and another factor that I just noticed now is that this particular game is another playoff. Is a playoff match, and when these particular teams are playing playoff, anything playoff, they are not always consistent. They are not consistent because in their last game, now this is probably the reason why the bookmakers are allocating that kind of odd line to these particular games. Look at this particular playoff match, the last one that they played. I'm very sure maybe they just played recently. Now you see what I'm talking about. They've been playing consecutively against each other. In the last two previous games against each other, the away team won by 3-point difference and the away team lost again by 31-point difference. So you need to always avoid anything playoffs or avoid basketball predictions for now, unless you have games that are based on rounds. And if you look at this, when you are predicting the total points, this is the reason why you need to avoid the playoff. They have 59-62, and yeah, another playoff, the last one, the previous one they played before they played the last one, they had 86-55, they had 59-62. But in their normal leagues, this is how they naturally play their points: 72-79, 81-91. Except if they are playing maybe cups that always end up as maybe 145. But if you are seeing the playoffs, you can see that consistency is not there. So try to make sure that you just avoid playoff games in basketball. That's it. So these are the simple steps that you can actually make use of. It is very fast and easy. Just calm down. If the games that you want to predict are actually meet up with the steps, just calm down, check the average point, average points scored and points conceded. The distance must be 10, and then you are good to go as straight winning. But for the over point, you have to check the head to head new and check the two teams average points, which must be greater than the league average point, and that's all. Subtract from the league average point 10 points, subtract 10 points from it, and the remaining one just go for it as over. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. In case you have any question regarding to this particular video or steps, you can actually drop it in the comment section. All right, so in the next video I'll be talking about this particular strategy. Actually, the strategy was initially initially for straight winning. Alright, so this particular strategy is for straight winning, but unfortunately I realized that I couldn't achieve straight winning using this particular process. And the first step, the first sleep I tried the process with ended up this way. And okay, I decided to go on and tried it on another sleep. And trying it on another sleep, this was even worse because everything ended up in a straight draw. The first game that played in this particular ticket ended up in a 0-0, and I was like, wow, these particular games are games that are supposed to be ending up as straight winning, but there are sometimes they usually find it hard to win this particular game. So the remaining two sleep, I knew that okay, probably maybe they will end up in double chance. Then I decided to rebet on this particular two games and stake heavily on it. Unfortunately, the game ended well as straight draw. So actually, in the next video, I'm going to provide some slips on this particular um match or games that are expected to end up exactly like this, but they were expected to end up as straight winning, but unfortunately we can't control the result of games every time. Alright, so see you guys in the next video. Drop your comments in case if you have any question regarding to this particular betting strategy. Bye.